Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today we're speaking to the fantastic LaKeith Stanfield, who is the star of the upcoming film, ROOFMAN. We're going to kick things off by introducing you to the AAFCA members on the call today, starting with Jill Monroe in Los Angeles, Brandon Collins in New York, Philippe Patterson in Washington, D.C., Anthony White in New York, New York, Dana Abercrombie in New York, New York, and Derek Dunn also in Washington, D.C. And we have Samuel Leggett, who would normally be in Washington, but who is at TIFF enjoying the festivities. So I'm going to let you guys do what you do so well, and I'll see you on the other side.
I wanted to invite you to my toy drive.
We sell toys here, we don't give them away.
Wow.
I would like to introduce you to someone who made a generous toy donation.
That's so kind of you.
So, John, I understand you work for the government.
So it's a little classified, so.
I never knew we had an intelligence unit here in Charlotte.
Oh, are you law enforcement?
Yes, I am.
Wow, that's amazing.
Police believe the ROOFMAN may still be in the area.
What the? Oh my God!
You got your passport? You got to leave tonight. I mean, can't I just stay? Oh, how? I'll just lay low. I need you to really think about who you talk to.
You just look like this all the time?
Tell me what's going on. Right now.
Who do you want to be, Jeff? I need you to take the ink bomb out. If I do that, it'll blow up. Not if you do it quick. Oops.
How's it going, LaKeith? Derek Dunn, Reviews and Dunn. Just a quick question, sir. Your character is a buddy to Channing Tatum from your time in the military. Was your character based on an actual guy, or is it a composite character?
He's based on an actual guy who was so instrumental in some of these, questionable activities that he's actually remained unnamed. And so Steve is a code name for the actual guy. But yeah, he was really helpful in helping our title character navigate when things got, kind of tough. And yeah, he was a real friend to him, but he described him as this kind of like, stoic, strong individual, this character that just kind of would tell it to you how it is,
Dana Abercrombie, the Coalition. I kind of want to piggyback off of that previous question. Both being in the Army and kind of sharing that relationship and understanding with each other. With the character of Steve, what I wanted to know is, do you feel that there was him reaching out, kind of being sympathetic because there was that Army kind of relationship that they both shared? They understood the PTSD. They understood what it meant to now come back home. Or was it more for, you feel, a little bit of selfless reasons instead?
No, I think it was definitely more of the former, that, he understood rebuilding your life after having come out of the military is not easy. And your mental state is a big reason why. And it's hard to make money and find ways to do that. But I think also being in the military could show the blurred lines in morality, or what may seem right or wrong might depend on what's at stake survivability wise. So I think, he understood that, hey, I know that we got to survive, and I don't really condone what you're doing, but I don't want to hear about it. You need help. Here's this number. You do this. Stay out of the press. Don't get caught up, and we're good. I think that was more his disposition, and one of those brothers that was sort of had like this tough love perspective about things. And so that was really fun for me to be able to play. I typically don't play characters that have that disposition, so it was nice to get into it.
Hi, Brandon Collins from the Media and Popcorn Podcast. I've been a huge fan since Short Term 12, and you have such an eclectic filmography. I'm curious about, what is your process for choosing projects, and how did ROOFMAN fit into, your overall vision of your career?
Thank you. Wow, Short Term 12. Yeah, I mean, well, back then my process was that I just wanted to work, As time has gone I've been fortunate enough to be able to make selections. And now what I try to do is pick things that speak to me and the overall message I'd like to propagate. Mostly, a lot of things that come in my direction are, I have to be careful about the way that Black people are depicted. I always want to make sure that I'm carrying integrity, or that I'm serving a story that I think bolsters integrity among us. Because I think if not, we run into an issue of damaging imagery coming through, and it becomes politicized, obviously, and just by virtue of me being Black and being in it. So that's something that I got to think about, and it's something I do think about and take seriously. So it tends to come into play. Oftentimes, I like to select things that humanize us more than anything, which sometimes means that the character is not actually written for a Black person. And then I take it over because characters that are written for Black people by non-Black people sometimes run this issue of disconnection from humanity, because sometimes the people writing them think that Black people are not all the way human. But like with scripts like this, I didn't have to run into that issue, because this character was just this really multidimensional character where him being Black was inconsequential, therefore meant he could just be human freely within the story. And so that was great. And I knew that it would also give a voice to those Black vets who see themselves as trying to rebuild in the world and have a space to see themselves show up in a movie. So I thought it was a beautiful opportunity,
Thanks so much.
Hey, LaKeith, Anthony with the Movie Blog. I had a question for you. I'm throwing it out because you said something that I really want to dig into, right? You play Steve, who's this friend who sees Jeff's flaws clearer than Jeff does himself, right? He's frustrated, he's tough, but he's still showing up. So for you, what is it like playing the guy who loves someone enough to call them out? Did it make you think about the kind of tough love that you've had to give or receive in your own life?
That's a good question. It definitely did. I got people that are close in my life who, my main thing is always, I'm just trying to listen. I think most of the time people want that more than they even really want advice. They just want to be heard. And so I try to be more of just like a listening ear rather than an advice giving voice. And if I am going to give some advice, it's often just to point you back in the direction of yourself, because you got to make the decision ultimately, most times, to make the large changes that you want to make. And but sometimes, when you're trying to support someone and they're on a difficult journey, say it's something like addiction or something like that, that's really tough. Sometimes you do have to just be really straightforward with your understanding of the situation in order for them to maybe it awakens something in them. So I've had to be that person before to just tell it straight how it was. So I appreciated this character for that. Sometimes in your friends, you need that. And only your real friends and family are going to tell you, like, look, you're wrong. You're on the wrong path, especially if they got something to gain. You get a lot of yes men around you, but then you got these select people who are going to hold you to task and say, like, no, this is not right. What you're doing to yourself and how you might be affecting others is not right. Those are people who care about you. Those are real friends, real supporters.
My man, thank you so much. Anthony with the Movie Blog.
No, I'll say you had mentioned in another interview that this film you can watch with people that you love. Can you go into why you think that is?
Yeah, I think that there's just so many universal themes here that can apply to so many different people. And one thing that's at the center of this movie is relationships. And the first and often most impactful relationships you have are those with your family. And so, sitting with family, you can reflect on the ways in which, for negative or positive, people in your life have affected you by their actions. And this guy at the center of this was definitely a person that sought to solidify his relationships and love with his actions, but by virtue of doing that, also affected people and affected the world and affected things around him by his actions. And maybe he meant well, but sometimes the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and you end up having collateral damage and issues on the way. And so the question becomes like, is it more important for me to continue this campaign toward what I'm doing, or to check myself and check the way that what I'm doing might affect those around me? And that's a real question that we sometimes got to ask ourselves, look in the mirror. And that's not an easy thing to do, but with support and with supporters and people around you, it's easier because, to my earlier point, they can hold you to task and be like, no, you're better than this, or, your word was this. So how are you holding up with your word? Yeah, I think this in this film, all the characters to some extent have to appeal to their community, to find their place and to bolster them and to bolster their campaigns.
All right. Well, everybody's gonna go see it now.
Yeah, October 10th.
October 10th. Thank you.
Jill Monroe, KBLA, Top 1580. So, LaKeith, this film is kind of urban folklore. Let me slow down. In its presentation, the headline could have easily been Soldier Turned Stick-Up Kid, but we see a reframing of that. From Steve's perspective, how do you think he feels about the viewpoint of the cultural lens where it's about him really doing this to reconnect with his family and, you know, from the tragedies that he's gone through from being in the military, so to speak, the mindset?
Yeah. You know, they spoke with the real Jeff during the making of this film. And one of the things that he said that I thought was pretty interesting is that, you know, when he would pull guns on people, he didn't really think that it was an issue because he had had guns pulled on him and it was something that he was used to. So when he saw it, he was just like, hey, this is just, you know, why is everybody so, you know, taken aback by this? And he had to remember that these people hadn't gone through the same things that he had gone through. Your experience directly affects who you are in the world and how you show up. And so I think his experience as an ex-military person is unique. And it's interesting because I think it speaks to a larger conversation about our contexts and how we show up in the world and how that affects our relationships. And so I think it's like a beautiful thing it's just so kismet that this real story has all of these like landmark aspects of it that can appeal to so many different people in so many different situations, whether it's because you're just coming out of jail or whether it's because you're just coming home from the military or whatever it is. You know, you're in a new kind of space and you got to learn how to operate in that space and try not to carry on them traumas from them situations and try to start anew. And it's not an easy thing to do. But at the essence of everything that he was doing, he was just trying to connect, trying to feel love, trying to be loved by his community. And sometimes when we want to be loved by our community, we go about it in the wrong way. So I think this is a testament to that too, that you can still be loved by your community, but you know, maybe we got to think about the ways that we go to try to, the route that we go to try to achieve and acquire and keep love, because that's important to pay attention to too, you know, because you're not going to be able to fix the fact that you're broken unless you know you're broken. And sometimes that takes everybody collectively to hold each other accountable and for us to hold our own selves accountable in order to fix the mess.
Amazing. Thank you.
Hello, LaKeith. This is Samuel Leggett, JVS Media Productions. My question is, from yesterday to the premiere, outside of the fact it's the 50th annual Toronto International Film Festival, with the anxiety and the excitement of that, what was it that you were hoping emotionally people were going to come out of that theater to receive?
Live life fully, you know, and I think it's just like be conscientious of the fact that the things that we put out into the universe have a cascading effect. The things that we do, they echo whether we realize it or not, whether it's because of the children who are seeing, you know, what we're leaving behind or the people that we affect. You know, we got more power than we think sometimes. And it's just like, you know, one little action, one little positive action toward our fellow person that can make all the difference in the world. And one thing that ain't right can make all the difference in the world too. And a tangled web we weave and we conspire to deceive. You know, it's like it's a real thing, you know, keep it real, be authentic. And, you know, you get rid of a lot of issues. You avoid a lot of issues by doing that. And, you know, as they say, as old wise man used to say, you ain't got a lie to kick it, you know.
Derek Dunn, Reviews and Done again. So my second question was, if there was one hip hop song you would say describes the camaraderie you share with Channing's character in the film, what would that song be?
I have this song that I made called Maroon, and I'll be dropping music soon. And I wrote that song about my brother, and I have a real strong connection to my brother. And, you know, him and I, we exist on sort of opposite spectrums of thought, where I'm more inclined towards spirituality. He seems to be more inclined toward philosophical inquiry devoid of spirituality, more like a materialist perspective. He likes a lot of German philosophers. So he's 2 years older than me. So we'll argue all day, about whether it's the, fate or determinism and all these proverbial questions that are like as old as time itself. And he's someone that's really close to me that I love dearly. And that I often have to be the person that's like, that has the tough love stance. But I'm also the person sometimes that just needs to get something off my chest and he'll listen to me. So I think that song that I wrote about him crystallizes the way that I feel about this relationship. It's one brother to another, When you go to the military, that's your brother. It don't matter how you show up. You could be black, white, blue, purple. We put our lives on the line, and you save my life and I save your life. You my brother, And so having those experiences together can bring people close together,
Facts. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Hi, Dana Abercrombie again. What I wanted to know is, was there any characteristics that you brought to the character that we may have not noticed on screen?
Probably. I'm kind of always like thinking about nuances when approaching characters, especially ones that are on the surface, they seem kind of like questionable or negative. I'm always trying to find the other side of that coin. It's like, oh yeah, you think this person is a villain, but like, how can we find the humanity in that villain so that maybe you can see yourself in it? Because you can't learn from a villain that you can't see yourself in it. And it's undoubted that we can all be heroes and villains. And it just depends on a set of circumstances and choices. And so when I like to take a bad character and I put that in quotes and have us see what we can learn from it, because you don't really learn a lot from just saying bad, 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 bad. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a little bit more nuanced, and I feel like humans are a little bit more complicated than that. So in this character, there are definitely nuances to be seen, but I don't know if I can say what people will see and what they won't see, but I definitely tried to embed some little nuances in there.
Thank you.
Hey, Brandon Collins again from the Media and Popcorn Podcast. I always like to hear how folks push forward through challenging times. And so without spoilers, could you talk about like the most challenging day on set for you making Roofman?
I didn't really have very many days on set, but the one that I think was the most challenging and impactful for me was the scene where I'm sending Jeff off for the last time. And I'm telling him, your life's over. You're starting a new life. And this is not a debate. We got to do this and you got to move. And it was like saying goodbye, And I know what that's like, coming from a neighborhood where nobody tried to pursue the thing that I tried to pursue, which was being in entertainment. And, it was just a violent kind of environment where people were like, you go over there in Hollywood and, them people don't love you. We love you here, and trying to get out of that environment and do something different was challenging, and saying that, hey, I'm leaving and I'm doing something new, and you may not understand it, but you'll understand it soon. This passion is calling me. I understood what it was like to, say goodbye. And so that scene was kind of hard because it reminded me a lot of those conversations. Some with people that are here and some people that are not here anymore, So yeah, that was a deep one for me. I think I got actually kind of teared up in one of the takes.
We see, Jeff, you mentioned that he's doing a lot of this for love, for attention, and we see that currently on social media, the same behaviors. So is Steve a character that's kind of holding up a mirror to those of us who excuse bad behavior when it's wrapped in charm, so to speak?
It's an interesting perspective. I think that does tend to happen in general, doesn't it? When there's a charisma and charm, we tend to overlook things sometimes. I think what I find on social media mainly is that everyone really just wants to have a perspective and, have a voice. And so if there's something to be pointed out, it will be, because it means that the people are listening to me now. And I think it actually comes down to one of the central themes here, which is that everybody just wants to connect and be loved and feel appreciated. So we're going to yell to the mountaintops until someone sees that I have a valid perspective. And actually, maybe by virtue of doing that, I also can make a little bit of money. Yo, I'm also selling this little thing over here. So like, while y'all all looking, so there's also there's a incentive to do that on social media. And I think that is an interesting thing. And here, I think my character he's connected in a realer way than that. I think it's like you're my friend. You're my, we were on the battlefield together. So I'm not going to cut no corners with you. I'm going to tell you exactly how you need to be told, because it's real stakes here. It's life or death. And you was there for me when it was life or death. I had your back, you had mine. So I don't have to mince words with you. I'm just going to tell you how it is. And I think if we had more real relationships like that, we would have less fallout on the internet, because people are actually having real relationships that bolster their confidence, so they don't need to go to other places to get it.
I love that. Thank you.
And thank you, LaKeith, for your time. We know that you are in your press day and you do a lot of these, so we appreciate your generosity in spending a little of that time with us today.
Well, this is my favorite one.
Well, thank you, sir. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film and TV critics, thank you for joining us for this edition of AAFCA Roundtables. Have a great day.